KCAA.
Live and in color from the NBC News radio broadcasting studios of KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, located in beautiful Southern California and in parallel from the Turf's Up radio studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thanks for tuning in to the Water Zone show this evening.
And a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the world and listening in to the Water Zone. We appreciate you doing that. I'm Rob Starline with Mr. Chris Davey, and we are the hosts of the show, and hope everybody's having a good week. I know there's some crazy weather that's happening in the United States. I'm sure there's some others all over the world, but we had some pretty nasty tornadoes coming down and doing things. So, Mr. Davey, how's things in Southern California? I know you haven't seen any tornadoes, but you probably haven't seen any earthquakes either.
No NATOs out here, buddy, that's for sure. But I got a piece of news for you. Next week, next Thursday, on April 10th, I will be in the same state as you, buddy.
Ah.
I will be in Arizona. So when we do our show next week, I'll be a pleasant neighbor.
Well, bring your bathing suit and shorts. It's going to be in the high 90s.
Yes, I saw that. Well, if there's. My dad would always say I do a lot of things about a lot of things. The weather's not one of them, so I'm coming anyway.
Okay, sounds good. Miss Austin is with us today, and I'm glad she's back. I'm sorry I missed everybody a week ago. So, excuse me, getting over a cold. But Miss Austin, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. And here we are up here in Northern California. It's another beautiful day. Blue sky and a few puffy clouds flowing through. I think we're all in a fairly good mood in the water world today, given that we've come to that critical time, April 1st, where we look at the snowpack. And the snowpack is actually pretty decent, just about average. And I think when they surveyed it, it was 90% of normal statewide, and it's inched up to 96% of normal. So we've actually had 3 years of pretty decent snowfall in a row. So that kind of bodes well for a lot of the ecosystem up here, more just having enough adequate flow in the rivers for 3 years in a row is a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, and we have, they say Shasta Reservoir is going to fill this year, they believe.
Yeah.
So, that makes the recreation people happy. Although, we will note for the recreation folks that, Shasta may be full at the beginning of the summer, but its job is to store water and send it downstream for farms. So that water level is going to go down because that's what Shasta Reservoir is for.
Yeah, well, what a lot of listeners might not know is a 3-year subsequent 3 years in sequence of normal or above normal snowfall and reservoir levels. It's not rare, but it's not usual either, is it, Chris? I mean, it doesn't happen that often.
Right. They say, the first time in, 25 years we've had 3 average years in a row. They keep statistics for all sorts of things, and I guess that's one of them. But it's just nice to have water because it means that while, we don't have water to waste, we won't be fighting over every single last drop. So that gives us time to fight about other stuff.
It's got to be good for ag, though, Chris. It's got to be good. It's also got to be good for the Salton Sea down here because, right now, those guys are on the precipice of, getting some funding to restore the lake and do all kinds of stuff. So, people will benefit because of it.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Although I'm not sure the Salton Sea will benefit from the precipitation because it doesn't get inflow. But they have a lot of momentum there going at the Salton Sea. So we'll see if they can actually, make some major improvements there.
Well, not sure it's going to get back to being, the favorite winter spot of movie stars like it was back in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, Chris. But they're saying that, there's a lot of scientists now believe that they can restore the fisheries, the corvina, for example, tilapia that once, thrived in that lake. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see, them be able to make something happen there. So yeah, it's good all around.
That's good stuff to hear. Hey, just a silly question to ask, is you mentioned the puffy clouds that you see.
Uh-huh.
When you guys were younger and you were traveling with your parents and sitting in the car, did you always look up at the clouds, and then did you decide what they looked like? Animals, people, airplanes, boats?
Tried to. Yeah.
Were you successful?
It depends.
I always now that I'm older, I think of I don't recall what the name of these psychiatric tests that they give you, these blotches of ink on a piece of paper, and they say, what does this remind you of? So that's sort of like looking at the clouds and coming up with some silly answer.
Yeah.
Don't know. Anyway, we'll go back to the real topics of water. But knowing about the Salton Sea, there's a lot of odor erupting from that area, and hopefully that whatever monies they get will take care of that. Otherwise, no one's going to come visit that place.
I've been there several times, and it's more of a seasonal. I think the odors, Chris, you can validate or tell me I'm why my eyes are brown, but I think that the smell is a seasonal thing. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, and there is what do they call it? When the lake turns over, the water in the lake, right. It does there is something that happens seasonally where the lake turns over, and lots of fish kills there, not unheard of, So, 2,000, 3,000 dead fish wash up on the shore, and the locals were like, "Oh, again?" It's a tough area.
As long as they don't misjudge them and call them grunion.
No, they're definitely not.
So I've been reading a lot about this talk about the fires that's happened in California and all the toxic stuff that's in the fire retardant stuff that's affecting water.
Good one.
Yeah. Well, no surprise. Fire retardant has a lot of nasty stuff in it. They really, the article talks a lot about the testing, and people. Some of these folks say, that there's no heavy metals in that, but apparently there's quite a bit when they did their own tests on it. The hard part is that, we know that it has lots of nasty stuff, but it seems to be the only option that we have to fight some of these really nasty fires. But there's a cost for that, unfortunately, in that it's all this stuff that's getting dumped into the environment. So, if you're, if you have this substance on your stuff, you need to wash it off. It's not, you really not the kind of thing you want to come in contact with. But the whole contamination from these fires in what they call the wildland-urban interface, these, wild fires that burn up houses. There's just a lot of toxic contaminants in the areas of the LA fire, and fire retardant, and lots of it is just one of the many things that is there. It's very sad to think about the ocean too, because the ocean is really taking a hit. You know.
Do you know how bad it affected the aquifers in Los Angeles, and can they get that out? Can they clean it up?
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard of any testing of aquifers. I mean, I guess the main vehicle how it would get into those would be if it went into recharge ponds. And, contaminated stormwater goes into recharge ponds, then, you might have that happen. But I don't know that they've tested for that. They haven't tested a whole lot. In general, when FEMA goes through a disaster like this and they clean these lots, they generally test them to make sure that they're cleaned up enough. I mean, what they're basically doing is scraping off 6 inches or 9 inches of the topsoil and dragging it away. And they decided for whatever reason with the LA fires they were not going to go back and test these lots. So we have people that are building on lots with soil that could likely be still contaminated, and that might be an issue if you build your house and you put in a garden.
Unknown participant is now joining.
This is the soil in which you are, growing the vegetables that you will eat. So there's just a lot of concern for that, and not a lot of testing, and not a lot of information.
Well, kind of terrible situation. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, went into stormwater system and down the LA River, or down the local streams and into the ocean rather than in settling basins, Chris. Plus, there's a bit of an advantage here in Southern California in that the groundwater table is very deep in Southern California. But still, it's a risk. And I read the article, Chris, by the way, and I was amazed at the list of chemicals, including heavy metals like lead and cadmium and what else they mentioned in there. That was in that stuff, as well as what we know today and term as forever chemicals or PFAS chemicals in there as well. So man, not good stuff. I guess it's a toss up. I mean, fire retardants to save people's multi-million-dollar homes, or face the contamination that's a result of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they also got to put the fire out sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't have this, we don't, while we want to have better forest management, having fires just burning through the mountains doesn't work either. So there's just a set of trade-offs. There's always has been, but I think we tend to prioritize in emergency situations people and property, and that's kind of what sort of trumps it, I think, with the use of fire retardant.
Do you think in future bills that the cities in Los Angeles would have new fire rules saying you need sprinkler systems on your roof or your somewhere to cover your perimeter of your homes?
I know that they are looking at regulations, but I'm not sure that they would include something like sprinklers on your roof. I think, setups to pump out pool water is really an easy thing to do.
Right.
But I think a lot is, I didn't really read much of the article because I have no intention of rebuilding, but it's my impression that rather than having sprinklers around property is having your home made out of materials that don't burn, having a way to shut out the air. Because a lot of people whose houses did survive the fire were filled with toxic smoke damage that they may or may not have been reimbursed to clean up. So being able to shut the outside air out in your home, having it set up to do that. And there's a way that you can, your home, and you can armor your home, and brush clearance works to a certain degree, and so you do that. But I think the materials and how you build your home is more important.
Yeah.
Rob, we might say a reminder is coming up, and a show coming up
yes.
here at the near the end of the month. We've got somebody coming on talking about the recent fires to irrigation contractor talking, and it's going to do a whole segment on defensible fire space around your home. So that'll be interesting, listeners. It's coming up at the end of April.
That'll be a great session too.
Yeah, we have learned a lot about how to, build homes that are more fire resistant. And palm trees are not.
They are not. They're starting
like
to
little torches.
They're starting to 3D print homes now. This is a boon for some of those companies that that come out and 3D print homes.
Yep. But most of that's plastic, though, or some sort of plastic, I believe.
Well, anyways, yeah. I'll switch to a new topic that seems to be never-endingly popular, and that is the idea of putting solar panels over the canals. And there's a story out this morning that they have finished a pilot project, and they have some panels mounted over canals that are now generating power. So that's a good thing. Now they're testing out two different locations. If they're facing south or if they're facing west, they're going to kind of see which orientation gets better results. But we're going to get some answers as to the viability of being able to do this. Now, it kind of seems like a no-brainer, and you might think that, but there are some, things that don't work so good. Like, there is a limit to how wide of a canal you can put these panels over. The really, really large canals, like the California Aqueduct, are actually, at this point, too wide to put these panels across. And there have raised some questions about, in areas where we're having problems with canals sinking from land subsidence from over pumping of groundwater, do you really want to be putting more weight and more structure around these canals? This is going to, I think, worsen the land subsidence problem. So there's some real questions about how you would maintain these panels as they're over the canals. There is some water quality benefits to not have the sun in there, kind of not so much algae or aquatic weed growth, and a little bit better water quality. So, there are some positives. But it will be interesting to see what the outcome is. The irrigation district that's doing the pilot project says that they're looking forward to seeing the results, but it's not a project that's feasible for them to put on all of their canals based on the size of the canals and the orientation of the canals, in the world. Some of them are not really suitable for it. So we'll have some answers. We'll see if it becomes a thing here in California, but it always seems to be a favorite topic for my readers.
Wasn't also a concern, or not concern, a conciliation for it, that when you put the solar panels above, it creates some shade and helps reduce evaporation on the water?
Yeah, some of that, yeah. And like I said, it cuts down aquatic weeds and other stuff in there. So, there are benefits to that. That's a positive. But then, you have other things to weigh against it. One thing is going to be how easy are these to maintain, and how often do you have to maintain them? So that's why they're running the pilot project, so we'll have some answers on all of that.
It'll be interesting to read.
Yes, definitely.
So what are some of the other issues happening around your area?
Well, people aren't happy about the Potter Valley Dam being taken out. That's up in Northern California, so we'll see how that goes. The dam it's kind of an older dam, and the powerhouse is not great. So, PG&E is wanting to decommission the dam and give it up because it would cost a lot more to upgrade it. So we'll see how it works out. People are not happy.
No, they never are. Mr. Davey, any fish stories you want to hear about?
Oh, there's one fish story in there, but I've already talked to Chris about it. So, it scared me. It was like a headline on there that said, one dry winter decimated the trout, steelhead, and salmon population in California. I was happy to read that is a study that was just published on a 12-year-old event that happened back in 2013 from UC Berkeley. So, Chris, I got to tell you, Maven's Notebook made me shiver a little bit there when I first read that headline. All is well.
I know you're right.
I know. Sometimes I wonder about some of these studies and things that people put out. I saw a report come out on agencies' 5-year plans that they submitted in 2018. And it was like, what was in the plan? It's like, okay, so it's now 7 years later. Wouldn't it be interesting to know, did they do those things or not? But that's not what the report was about. So I'm like, why? I don't know.
That's the way lots of reports are written these days.
Yeah, someone was required to write a report, so they wrote it.
Yeah, and then nobody really wants to read it afterwards. So times have changed. So, well, Chris, we're glad you're back. I'm glad you had a nice time off. You were doing some personal family things, which I think was great. And we're gonna wish you a great weekend. But for our listeners, we wish them a couple things. One, go to mavensnotebook.com and take a look at this thing that Miss Chris Austin does. It is so awesome. She gives you the latest and greatest and news that's just coming out that nobody knows about in the water industry. And it's a great way to do it. You can become a subscriber. And if you really like it, you can become a sponsor of it. And that's a good thing to do. And this lady works tirelessly. I don't know how she's still married after all those years, because she probably doesn't see her husband more than 30 minutes a day, if that, because she's busy doing all these reports and going to meetings and talking to people and just getting everything that we need to have to do a good show. So, Chris, we sincerely appreciate it. And listeners, please go to Maven's Notebook. Try it. It's free. You can try it and see if you like it. And like I said, if you want to become a subscriber, you get it every day. And if you want to be a sponsor, that's even better. So we wish you to do that. So, Chris, we'll be talking to you next week. You have an awesome weekend.
You too. Good evening, everyone.
Have a great week, Chris.
All right, we're going to take a little break here from our words from our sponsors, and then we're going to be back with a very unique featured guest. And it's partly about water, it's partly about other things, but it's very interesting. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Time-saving tools I found for my customers is our app and our e-commerce feature. So customers actually have the ability to view all of their quotes in one place. If you contact your Site One seller, you'll be able to log into your account and see all your quotes in one place. And instead of jumping on the phone or waiting for your seller to call you back, you can approve it right from the website, and it will send a message to your sales rep to get it on order and reserve the material. Customers can learn more about these tools at their Site One branch, from their local seller, from their local CX specialist, and from SiteOne.com, or by downloading the Site One app.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the Water Zone Show. We appreciate everybody tuning in today and Chris Davey and I are trying to do a great show here. We have some unique guests that I was brought to attention by a gentleman named David Perazzi, and he's a good contact for us. And he said I should talk to this gentleman, and his name is Atul Bhattara, and he's the president of a company called Atul Skincare. And so people listening say, what the heck are you talking about skincare? This show's about water and everything about water. Well, water has a lot to do with it. Like we learned with the company a couple of weeks ago, Relief Patch, and you know works with technology that we talked about a couple of weeks even before that with a Dr. George Pollack, a professor and scientist at Washington State University. And we learn so much on the show. It's incredible. That's why Chris and I like doing this because, yeah, we know a lot of stuff and we're good at what we do, but there's new things happening every day. And so I met this gentleman. David told me to contact him, and he was out coming to Arizona. So I spent an hour or so with him, and very interesting gentleman. So I'd like to welcome him to Atul. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me, guys. And thank you, Rob, for a great introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today. You were talking about the show's about water, right? So first of all, the human body is 70% water. The skin is the largest organ in the body, right? So, and the main way we clean our skin is by using water, right? So basically, we are water beings. If you look at our makeup, 70% water. Water is 100% used to clean our skin, and our skin is the largest organ, so it ingests the water that we use. A little bit about my story, if I can just let people know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am not originally from the skincare industry. I have a eclectic background. First things first, I was born premature, and I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth. I was born at 7 months. So at that point, you know, over 40 years ago, now I'm dating myself with my age. I just turned 45 this year. Doctors didn't even know whether I was going to be able to walk, sit, see, or even have any fine motor skills, so on and so forth. So I was diagnosed with CP at 14 months, and since I was in a NICU, I had a shunt in my head, and I've been through 14 operations. So that was the beginning of life for me. So I'll just pause for everybody to take that in. Again, I'm very blessed, so it's not like I wish circumstances were different, of course, but under the circumstances, I've had a pretty good life. I've gotten a chance to go to school, graduate business school, and then I went into the food and wedding industry. This was July of 2004. I graduated college January of 2003. And everything was going fine in the restaurant and catering space, which we do as a family with my two brothers. And then the pandemic hit in 2020, and we were shut down. We're based out of Queens, New York, so we were shut down by the government and the circumstances. And that's when I got into skincare over the pandemic. Yeah. So I will let you guys unpack that a little bit, and then we'll move forward with the story.
Well, I thought it was interesting when I met you, and we talked a while for about an hour or so, and what was interesting to me is, your product has water, and it's just like having a car. If you have a car and you don't take care of the maintenance of the car, like making sure it has oil and antifreeze and all the other stuff, it's not going to do you any good. And it's the same as having a skincare product. Yes, you use water. We're going to talk about that. But people who wash their face or their skin before they use your product, it's important what they use and how they use that. So we're going to let you get in to a little bit about your skincare product. But how did that start? How did that come to an idea for you?
Well, as I told you when we met, my cousin actually went to visit one of his clients, which happened to be a private label skincare lab. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't even know such things existed at the time. And what happened was, he made the introduction to his client, and from there, I kind of, I had this idea from childhood, which goes into my skincare line. So let me get back to the story, and we'll get there, in a couple of minutes. So what happened was, I was diagnosed with CP, and I come from Asian Indian background. So my parents sent me to India to live with my grandmother and aunt, and my mom, who was a nurse in New York. She'd go back and forth. I'd see her about every 3 to 4 months. She'd make 3 to 4 trips a year. And when I was in India with my grandmother, I saw them take yogurt as a base and put spices like turmeric, saffron, cinnamon, mix it with water, and make home remedies out of it, face packs. So, this is the way they would do skincare. They would, even though salons were there at that time in India, they prefer using products where they know what they put in it, and it's a cultural remedy, cultural family remedy that they use. As a matter of fact, in Indian weddings, there's a whole ritual that they do, a whole day of the pre-wedding, where they use turmeric and spices and they put it on the bride and groom. So this is something in Indian cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, and cultures around the world. This is something they do. Yep. So I'm not sure that everybody listening to the show knew that, but that is true in terms of what happened in the Indian culture. Now, when I met with this factory, I had this this idea and this memory of childhood that I wanted to mimic what was going on in my grandmother's kitchen. And then when my grandmother and aunt came to live with us in New York, this continued through our childhood. They would take it and put it on the kids' faces, and so on and so forth. So I met with the gentleman and the formulist. They thought I was crazy. They didn't even know whether live spices were going to pass all the microbiological testing that you need to for skincare products. But I explained to them the science behind it, and the fact that there's it comes from the Indian medicinal discipline of Ayurveda, and it goes back thousands of years. And I finally convinced them. We went through 4 rounds of products. It took about 18 months in product development to get through all the microbiological testing, which led to a tool skincare today. So
that's an awesome thing. No, I was going to say, Chris, I know Chris and I were talking about your stuff in between. We talked to you before, and I know he has lots of questions for you. Chris, you want to go ahead?
Well, I was going to ask a question, Atul, because, you kind of gave a hint to everybody about about how the ingredients were developed, right, from your restaurant background and from the history of your family and all that. So just monitoring the chat board here. A couple of folks are asking, is this completely plant-based? I mean, is the whole thing plant-based? So many people are used to, these products that have, like waxes and parabens and, all kind of mineral oil and all that stuff in it. Are these in your products, or is these completely natural, plant-based?
It is completely natural, plant-based, cruelty-free. Every single ingredient under in the 4 products and 6 SKUs that we have is listed on the website. So you can actually go to the website, click on the individual products, go under the ingredients tabs, and you can kind of see the ingredients and why they're good for you and why we put them there, and so on and so forth. I was trying to carry forward a family legacy and make sure these products would be just as good as, if they came out of my grandmother's kitchen. So that was very important to me and to us as a company. But getting back to the water, the specific waters that we use, we started with perforated water, which was distilled water, okay, and then we went to micellar water, which is water containing molecules of oils. That's where we used the natural oils such as turmeric, saffron, cinnamon, and other oils with the micellar water mixed. Then we used plant-based waters such as chamomile, rose, and other, which would be fragrant waters. So that's where the perfume smell of the skincare comes from. And then we heated those waters, mixed them with the oils and plants, and then we used warm natural spring waters. So those were the main waters that we used, and the products contain 70% water between all 4 products. So we're trying to mimic and balance out the human body.
You have something that's we talked about blue light blocker protection.
Yes.
How does that play into this and
we have liquid blue light blocker protection in our products, certified blue light blocker protection. It's been certified. It's on our packaging. It's on the website, and it's been certified in the studies and the testing that was done. And it's in 3 of the 4 products. I don't think it's I know it's not in the cleanser, but it's in the moisturizer, the serum, and the mask.
So when people pre-use your product before they put it on, we also talked about the different waters that people use. You talked about distilled water, micellar. What about oxygenated water? I see a lot of that in the sports. I know that for drinking.
Water is a charged water. It's a charged water. You can't really use it in a product that's going to sit, but it's very important to use before and after using a product to keep your skin healthy. Also, the types of showers. Now there's different shower heads with filters as well. That's not something our company does, but Jolie is a company with a shower head that's won a lot of awards, and that I would recommend personally. No association with them, but that is thing that people are using shower filters to get harmful chemicals between the water and their skin.
Okay. Chris, I'm sorry I cut you off and added.
No, that's all right, buddy. I was going to go more into the connection between water and the body, and water and skin care, right? So again, monitoring the chat board here, there's a lot of folks interested in this for sure, Atul. So, you mentioned the cleansers.
By the way, we have a special gift for the listeners. Water Zone 20.
Okay.
Is a special discount site-wide. We're going to run that for about 2 weeks to see, what the outreach is, how the folks love it, and if it's, it's going well, we'll continue it for an entire month.
Okay, Water Zone 20. All right. So we'll put that on all of our. We'll put that on the podcast and all the other stuff. But to answer a couple of questions from the chat board here, right? So, a lot of folks in this industry. I mean, our listener base is folks from water agencies and different federal agencies and things like that. Produce water, all kinds of different stuff in here. So these guys are interested in knowing a little bit more about what these products do. What's the cleanser do? What does the moisturizer do? What do the serum products do, Atul?
Well, what these products do, first, they clean your skin. Second, they're all natural. They plump up your skin. We've done, and these products have been used in skincare since time immemorial. There are on our website a blog done on the blue light blocker protection. There's a blog done on why saffron would be used. There's also a study that's been done recently between saffron and depression. Also, a lot of times people are spending time, on their screens, on their computers, on their phones. Even this podcast that we're doing today includes screens, and we can't the frequencies and the blue light that's entering our skin and our face primarily. More skincare companies and products should have blue light blocker protection for decent prices for people. So it's very, very important, no matter what line of work you're in, to take care of your skin and your body, to have enough water to make sure that you're using the right kind of products, the right kind of filters, even when taking a shower, and your skin is ingesting more water than you drink. So it's very important to have the right kind of products with the right base materials, with companies being transparent on what should be put on your skin and why, and how to treat it, how to deal with it, and so on and so forth. It's really the largest organ of your body. There's no better gift you can give to yourself.
Well, we know that turmeric is, an anti-inflammatory, right? It's an anti-inflammatory agent, and it's an important ingredient for you, right, Atul?
Yes, it is. Culturally and in our skincare, it's very important. It's very anti-inflammatory. It helps, even if you have little nicks or cuts, little pimples, having products with turmeric will help your skin not break out, will help you with the pH levels of your skin, and so on and so forth.
What are the things that would be contradictory to using your product? For example, what would deteriorate and harm a skincare product? Special water, like a water with a lot of calcium in it, or hard water?
I mean, all the parabens, everything in over the counter, those big bottles of lotion, a lot of anything with the word acid in it, salicylic acid and others are in a lot of skincare products. Anything with the word acid in it should not be in a skincare product. Even the preservatives that we use are all natural, and they're listed on our website.
Okay. And
before you buy anything, I'll just tell people just go on our website and just read. And if you like what you see, just like us on social media if you like what we're trying to do. A small company, small team, trying to do the right thing by consumers, and the support that we can get from audiences like yours could make a huge difference to our business, but also the principles that we stand for.
Yeah. What separates you from the established companies that are already out there? Because it's like, if I Chris and I decide we're going to go into the irrigation business or the PC business, this gigantic billion-dollar companies, what sets you apart? I know I saw your packaging, excuse me, and you give a lot of information about the product right there, and our biggest point was, what does this do? How careful is it put together? The right water that you're using and what not to mix it with and things of that sort. What separates this product that you have from the competition?
I would say besides the product itself is the reason for its founding. The reason for its founding was to try to take, something natural and homemade out of the kitchen and to bring it out to people, to benefit them, to make them understand that why, the system of Ayurveda and these natural spices and home remedies, which go back, hundreds of years in cultures like the Indian culture and the Middle Eastern culture. And in those areas, people pay more for this kind of skincare because it's literally handmade with the best quality ingredients.
Yeah. I know when my wife and I were over in Asia one time, and she was noticing the Asian women and how smooth their skin looked. And it's also unisex product. Mm-hmm.
Also unisex product for men as well. A lot of men use skincare products secretly, but they don't really shop for them. So if you're a guy out there that uses skincare products that wants to treat yourself, our most popular product is the serum, actually. The serum that contains saffron, turmeric, and cinnamon. Mm-hmm. It's a multifunctional serum, and it's really good for your skin. Yeah, just don't get it into your eyes. It could sting a little bit, but other than that, it's very good for your skin.
I have not been to your website, but a question, again, as it relates to water that we talk about all the time. Do you have, or would you put up something on your website to talk about, like I said, with the car, you have to maintain it. Just having a car with an engine is one thing, but you got to put the right oil in, you got to put the right, everything in. How do you tell them? Because I don't go out and buy, personally, I don't go out and buy women products of makeup and skincare stuff. But since I met you and you gave me an in-depth information about that business, how do you tell, or do you tell the audience or your potential customers that like you said, 75% of water's in our bodies, this and that? How do you tell them that they need to use the right stuff even before applying your product, and the maintenance of that afterwards? Because that seems to be a big important factor with how successful that comes. As you said, like some people have that Jolie shower head, some don't. What makes it? What would be degraded? I guess is what I'm looking for. that you want to warn people?
We have a blog section within our website that talks about a bunch of topics, such as what's good for your skin, the blue light blocker protection, the different herbs and spices, the different fragrant waters, and so on and so forth. I again encourage people to read some of the research of each ingredient and why it was thoughtfully placed into the products and what it does for everybody. I think today we're dealing with a much more aware customer that is willing to try new products and new companies because they want to make sure that it's aligned with their purpose and what they find good for themselves.
Atul, I'll say one quick thing here, right? Because to say that the ingredients page is comprehensive doesn't really tell the true story. I urge our listeners to go to the website, which we'll let you talk about in just a second here, Atul. But magnificent stuff in there, right? And just ditch the chemicals part and all that stuff. By the
way, I would
fantastic.
like to clarify one thing that I said previously.
Sure.
All 4 products have the blue light blocker protection.
Good.
In them. I was just alerted sorry about that. So I wanted to get that clarification in for your listeners.
Good. Glad somebody flagged you down. So out of the 4 products or the 6 SKUs you have a favorite, Atul?
My favorite is the serum. For women, they really love it. Before they apply their makeup, they put the serum on before they put their makeup on to kind of protect their skin, and then they put the makeup on. They put the serum on afterwards to seal in the makeup so they don't have to do as many retouches. Men really love the serum in terms of breakouts on their face and forehead. The serum is a protective layer for their skin, and because it has the turmeric and the saffron in it, it does really well, in terms of anti-inflammatory.
Do you also specify to anybody what, for women especially who use the makeup and stuff, what type of water should they be drinking in general? Because they put all kinds of. I see people drink all alkaline water and, like I said, oxygenated water if they're sports people, and all of that. I think all of that would that have a reaction on anybody's skincare product?
I don't know if it would have a reaction for skincare per se, but in terms of overall health and wellness, an alkaline environment is good for everybody. Alkaline water would be ideal, and also some kind of reverse osmosis filter within the home would be good, because a lot of counties around this country don't have the best water so far.
Well, that's true. Chris, I'll let you take it home.
Sure. Well, we got about a minute and a half, Atul. So, shameless plug time, buddy. How can people find out more? Where can they go to get just all the information that we've talked about on the segment here, and how can they reach Atul Skincare?
Well, AtulSkincare.com, ATUL Skincare.com, and WaterZone 20 for your listeners, 20% off site-wide. We are very, very thrilled, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to speak to your audience and to everybody, and thank you for the opportunity. If you love your skin and it's the largest organ of your body, give our products a chance. We're trying to do something the right way with ingredients that's good for everybody, and trying to bring more awareness to people's skin and make sure that they're doing the right thing for themselves.
Well, we appreciate that. We thank you for coming on. Like I said, the first time I met you, we talked about this with how does that involve water and things like that. And we try sometimes to be a little different on our show. Normally we do with legislation and what's happening with this and that and PFAS and a whole line of stuff. But it's nice to change the subject a little bit in a different direction, but it still has to do with water, and that's our most precious resource. So we do appreciate you coming on, and also you do have different size packages that you of these products as well, so people can see that.
Do. Yes, we do. Thank you for bringing that up. We do have a travel size or a trial pack that people could get to try, to dip their toe in the water, to say a pun, to try our product. And then, we have a total of 6 SKUs, 4 individual products and 2 sets, 1 travel set, 1 4-in-1 daily treatment. And right now, your listeners, it's 20% off.
Okay, well, we got to go quickly because we got to turn this over to NBC for the news hour. But Atul, thank you very much for being part of our show. And listeners, go to that website and then take a look at what you got. So Chris and I will have most important things to tell you is if you have to we want you to help keep our planet blue. But if you do that, make sure that you do it, because if you like green, you can't have blue. All right, good night, people.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.